What's good? What's good? Welcome back. You are inside the Cultural Divide Experiment. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at The Cultural Divide, Instagram at The Cultural Divide, and on Twitter at The Cultural EXP. Coming up after our show today, it's Let's Talk Baltimore, where they talk about all the local topics from headlines and everyday social issues. So we are continuing our headlines, and we were talking about some of the controversy around traditionally white characters being played by African Americans and people of other races and cultures. And it is amazing how some of the things that we've seen in the past, where Kev brought up the Professor X and the Magneto scenario, where Stan Lee created these characters based on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, which, you know, I found out some years ago, and I was just truly amazed by it. But it also, I go back and I look at Twitter sometimes, and I look at some of the statements that people are making, because one of the statements, a gentleman said, why do we feel the need to whitewash and keep these characters in the same thing that people grew up on? Because guess what? You know, there are other people around. There are other things around. And I think back on why Stan Lee had to create a Magneto who was white and a Professor X who was black, or white as well, not black. But, you know, he knew his audience, because he had to make sure, guess what, it's still a business, but even though he had to make those parallels and create these mutants that were shunned and prosecuted for no apparent reason, he understood the times that he was in. So I commend him for that. So, Kev, I saw you throw your finger out. You had something to say, brother. Go ahead.
Just a quick point. I think if you look at that movie, what was that movie, To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah,
And at the very end, and I, to be quite honest, I never actually saw that whole movie, but I understand it was like this black guy who was charged for killing this young little white kid, right? And so at the end of it, who was it? Matthew McConaughey was the lawyer, and they're in the courtroom.
Oh, not To Kill a Mockingbird. No, that was with Morgan Freeman and Matthew McConaughey. A Time to Kill.
A Time to Kill.
Oh, that was one of my favorite movies.
And so, if you think about it, this is the reason why Stan Lee had to do it that way. And I'm gonna bring up another point about Spider-Man. But so in that movie, he says. He goes through all this monologue about what happened and everything, and then he says, "Imagine if that kid."
He brought it home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brought it
Thank
home.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this little girl who's a young black child, black little girl who was raped by these two men, and he took them through his closing arguments, took them all the way through, and at the end, these all white jurors. He said, "Now imagine if she was white," and it just flipped the script on him.
And to put that point into the grave, just a couple days ago, there was a post on another radio news station. I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to mention or not.
No, we don't.
Okay, so so I'm a avid Facebook user, and then so I replied. They were talking about how the KKK was disseminating flyers and giving out candy just right before Halloween.
What?
In Maryland. This is, in Maryland.
Yeah, there's some places in Maryland.
Certainly.
There are places in Maryland that we've been told not to be there after.
Certainly.
Right.
Well, there's some places right here that we're not told not to be there. Anyway, so that happened, and I said, and this is literally probably my direct quote, and probably not a direct quote, but it was exactly what I said. I said, some white people will not know how to feel about this.
Yeah.
I said, change the word KKK to ISIS.
Yeah.
Now you know how to feel about this.
Yeah.
Now you know how to get offended.
Yeah.
If ISIS came around your neighborhood, your lily white neighborhoods with the picket fence and the 2.5 children, American Dream, and they disseminated information against America, you guys would be ready to kill everybody.
Yeah.
But because it says KKK, you all say, I don't know how. I'm not sure. It doesn't really. I thought that we had progressed and they had a black president, so I don't know how this still happens. You got, the people are still unaware or unassumptive about what's going on out here.
They're in the middle.
Yeah.
So, Tim Wise talks about this a lot.
Yeah, I like that dude. I like that dude.
Yeah, he's the man. So, the whole point is that so Spider-Man, let's talk about the Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, I did an interview on Stan Lee, I was watching this interview, and he said that he created Spider-Man with a mask specifically so that any single American child or adult could see themselves as being that superhero.
And relate.
Exactly. It's
And
about relatability. This guy was way, like you said, Barry, he was way ahead of his time when it came to progression and understanding what America really was about.
Yeah.
So when you talk about superheroes, Spider-Man was he was a masked individual, so anybody could see themselves being that person, and that's what he opened it up to.
Gotta love that. You gotta love that. I mean, even when, and the funny thing is, I love the fact that Marvel has now created a black Spider-Man, or I should say, he is of brown descent, but he is definitely, Marvel is taking a stand, DC is taking a stand, and for all you folks out there that feels like all these characters should always be stayed traditionally white, let it go. Let it go. So, I mean, this is where we are right now. Get over it, because guess what? We're around, and we're everywhere. There's no longer just in my little community. And I get it. There are some folks, maybe in the Midwest somewhere, maybe upper state somewhere, that have never met a black person or person of other color or race. But we are here. And guess what? We are being represented. I love the fact for that. Transitioning into something else here. And again, we've had a lot of headlines, and we have not had a chance to talk about it. SJ, baby, I missed you. And Kev, I commend you. Thank you very much for driving all the way out here to be part of this with us. One of the last headlines I want to talk about is the young woman in college, young white woman, young lady, who was basically, I'm almost going to say it, she was poisoning her black female roommates.
She called her Jamaican Barbie.
Jamaican Barbie.
And she was trying to get rid of her.
She
wanted to get rid of her roommate.
She poisoned
when all she had to do was go to the student office, and say, look, I'd like to get a roommate change. It was just that simple. Why she went through all of these changes is beyond me. Unless she thought that this is the perfect room, perfect floor, perfect location. I just want it all to myself, because it really is that simple nowadays with so many, things going on in college. You can actually just go say, I'd like a new roommate. She didn't have to go to those extents. No.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was just what you call a person. And to me, that is borderline, what's the best way I can put it? That was evil. Seriously,
yeah,
that was borderline evil. That was spite,
malintent,
all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, because how do you do that? I mean, how do you think up certain things like this and as opposed to just going to the RA and just saying, hey, I need a new roommate. I want to move.
Yeah.
Versus trying to make someone move on. I mean, so what exactly have you been taught that you thought this was okay? And then you're dumb enough to go on Instagram and talk about it and think about the fact that it's not going to get out there.
I think that she didn't realize the seriousness of what she was doing. And when I say that, I said that because if she grew up thinking that this was okay, this type of behavior, she had no idea the ramifications that were going to come from it. Like, I just think, I want to say race had a little to do with it, but I don't think race had anything to do with this. I think she was just that, malicious person. Like, it wouldn't have mattered who it was. When she had her goal and focus of getting rid of you, this is what she was going to do.
SJ, I really want to agree with you on that. I'm not certain that race was the biggest factor of it. I think this person, like you said, Barry, was that she was just mean-spirited, had a lot of malcontent there. And so it didn't, like you said, SJ, it did not matter who it was. They just wanted to ruin themselves. Now, look, hey, I was in undergrad. My undergrad experience, we pranked this dude and put some. Look, we put some of that. What's the turkey? The turkey meat that you use, like
the gizzard.
The gizzard.
No.
The turkey
bone,
the turkey meat.
Ground turkey.
Ground turkey. We use a basin and we sprayed that into his toothpaste.
Was it cooked at least?
No, it was the gooey, nasty ingredient.
Oh, you were trying to give him salmonella poisoning.
it was
Oh, no,
in
you
his-
gonna notice
it was
that that's
for his-
not
yeah,
toothpaste.
you gonna know it's
You
not
gonna notice
toothpaste, but it was in his toothbrush.
That's a prank. You know,
Yeah,
what
it
she did was
exactly.
like poison her baby borderline.
That-
you know,
Yeah,
secret.
that was
I'm gonna go to my toothpaste and squirt that up. Whoa, what the hell is this?
exactly that was a prank.
Right.
So I mean, you know,
Yeah,
at times
she-
you're gonna do some goofiness like that, but I do agree that I'm not certain that it was definitely racially motivated.
Right.
Now, what was definitely racially motivated was the white guy on the University of Maryland student who stabbed
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
Bowie
Yeah.
State students
Mhm.
because he was standing there.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
That was
That's
completely
right.
racially motivated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I had to put that out there.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a big difference. I don't think that every single thing comes down to race.
Right.
Right. And
I
that's the
think
whole
so.
premise of this show.
Exactly.
Because a lot of stuff, I mean, I'm speaking from a person of color, a black man. There are a lot of times that I've met my colleagues who are just uber sensitive. Like, dog, man, you're not doing your job. That's why
Yeah.
they're on you. They're not on you because you're black. You're not doing what you're supposed
Yeah.
to be doing. And at the end of the day, I don't care what you say, we have to be 150 times better than anybody else that we work with. We
Yeah.
can't be average or mediocre. Because then I'm not going to say they, but I'm saying the powers that be do look at us and expect something.
Yeah.
So you can be just okay if and that's where that white privilege kicks in.
Yeah.
You know, you can be okay and still excel, whereas we have to be uber excellent to be like, oh wow, to be on the radar and say, okay, these are the
Well,
things we can do.
Go ahead. I'll
Well,
let you jump in.
I would just throw this caveat in there. Not even within the Caucasian demographic,
Mm-hmm.
because let's say you work for Google,
Mhm.
there is an expectation on your product or your value to
Yeah.
Google
Mhm.
that if you're not meeting that mark, they will kick you out the door.
Yeah.
So it is not just on obviously white people against
Oh, no.
people
No,
of
no,
color,
not at all,
things
not
of
at
that
all.
nature. But we do have to understand we get into these environments that there is no time, and unfortunately, there is no time for us to chill, relax,
Oh yeah.
rest on our laurels,
No.
whatever it is you want to call it. You
Mhm.
got to be, like you said, Barry. We got to be on point all the time. There ain't no doubt.
Every
You can't take your guard down until it's time to clock, and even beyond that, because now they give you the cell phone. They were trying to call you.
Oh,
left and
yeah,
right.
exactly.
You're like, oh man, I'm at dinner with my family, but no, you gotta take this call, handle some
Absolutely.
business.
Right,
You
exactly.
see what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
there is no downtime now.
Indeed.
No, there's definitely no downtime, and you always have to be on. I tell people all the time because people want to say, well, if you work to a certain point, then you can kind of like ride it out a little bit. I don't know when that point is. I haven't got there yet. I'm still working to get there because, in my experience, everyone's disposable. So you might think you're in a circle or frat today, but you could very easily be out tomorrow. So don't rest on that. Like, keep outperforming, keep doing what you're doing because you just
Overperform.
overperforming because you never know. I mean, and it's not all racially related.
Mm-mm.
Some of it is,
Some of it is.
but it's not all that. But it's just hard to determine sometimes when it's racially motivated and when it's just work motivated because sometimes those lines blur.
Indeed.
Because you don't know. You're like, okay, is it always just because I see this person of another race do the same exact thing I'm doing every day, and they're not catching half the grief that I'm catching.
Indeed.
But maybe it's that you've always been a high performer and now your performance is down here, so they're like, what the heck is going on? They ain't never performed, so I don't expect nothing from them for what they doing anyway.
You slack off, boy. They notice when you slack off.
Yeah.
If you're an A player and you become a B player, oh, whoa, what's going on? What's the problem? Everything all right? There seems to be a tad of a problem.
Yeah.
There's an attitude adjustment, or not quite working on the team correctly. So that changes, but that also starts to get into our topic of the day. But I don't want to go there just yet. So
Okay.
I don't want to go there just yet. not yet. SJ, you have been working for us, and baby, I appreciate you bringing home the bacon. You've been in Cali, you've been in New York, and you and I have been having these conversations about you were in Cali and working this particular project for us, but you said something to me that I will never forget. You said you felt invisible. I want you to tell us a little bit about that, without obviously naming names, but just give us the gist of why you felt invisible when you were out there?
Well, it was just interesting working in an environment in California where the people that I was working with and helping to train, they were mostly Asian. And the demographic of everyone that kind of came through their business was Asian. And it was just so funny because that was the first, well, not the first time, but maybe one of the more prominent times in life where I actually felt invisible. Like, when I say that, the people that came in, they didn't see me. They did not acknowledge me. It was almost as if I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Or even in situations when dealing with the client, it was like, I'm still not here, so I'm going to talk to you as if she didn't just tell me everything that you just said. You know what I mean? It's just this weird feeling because you're just like...
you got to break that down a little bit more for folks. Because, I mean, basically, you are telling someone showing someone how to do something.
Yeah.
But she did not want to take that from you.
No.
Someone else that was from her culture
Yeah.
said the same exact thing as you said.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you couldn't tell her that.
No.
She wasn't understanding.
Even though I said it, because the person that quote unquote translated in English what I just said.
Translated in English.
Translated in English what I just said. By the second time I'm sitting there like, that's what the hell I just said, isn't it?
Right.
But it seemed like they could hear that person, but they didn't want to hear from me. Or even the times where they made the comment, well, I know you probably don't know the answer to this, but
how you gonna start off with
how
a
you gonna
preference
start
like
off
that?
with that, asking me something like, I'm already starting to mentally shut down now, like, what? So why are you even talking to me? If you already think I don't know the answer, why are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone that you're asking the answer from, they got the answer from me.
Yeah.
I told them that earlier before you got here. You know what I mean? So it's just funny just being in that environment where, I don't think I have a peacock personality, maybe sometimes.
Hey, you're on the radio, you have to.
Sometimes I have that peacock personality, right? So to be in an environment where people are just acting like they don't see you, it's an interesting feeling. You're just like...
Now, there's a contrast to that. So you went all the way to California for us, thank you again, and then you came all the way back to New York, and same exact project, but did you feel invisible then?
No, different, totally different demographics. Now it was like I was with my Italian aunties. You know what I mean? And that's what I called them, my Italian aunties. You know what I mean? Because that was the kind of love I was getting. I think if there had been a potluck day there, it would have been some good food. Like,
right,
it was just really good love, and the energy was great. I mean, it was funny because they did tease me that they weren't going to call me by my name. They were like, you know what? We're going to call you Gorgeous. That's what your name is going to be the whole time you're here. Gorgeous.
So, like the accent she's trying to get right now.
I can't imitate accents. That's not my thing.
If you remember that show, The Nanny, Fran.
Nanny Fran, exactly. Imagine that. Yeah, it's more nasally, high pitched.
Right.
Kind of like that Long Island thing.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And they were just sweethearts. They were just the most outgoing group. They were so warm and welcoming, and it was just like I didn't expect that because going that far up in New York, you're never quite sure what to expect because it's not the city anymore. But they were great. Like, I mean, it was two totally different worlds.
That's amazing. And I love that. Kev, what were you about to say?
Can I piggyback on what you said, your story? It was interesting as I listened simply because my mother is high in the government, GS something with double digits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she is up there. She commands a lot of respect, I guess, in whatever level the GS. I've never been a governor, so I don't know.
Right.
But this what happened. One time she told me that she was, I guess, hosting might be the better word. It was in her office, this high-end meeting, whatever the case like that. And so as she was there just greeting people at the door. And she said that somebody asked her to pour her a glass of tea or something like that, and she was like, "Oh no, I don't do that."
What?
She's like,
what?
"No, I don't do." She said she didn't. She said that it was very obvious that they didn't know that it was going to be a black woman facilitating this,
right?
And that she was that black woman that was going to facilitate it.
Yeah, not ready.
So, at all. And so it was just to piggyback on what you said, SJ, about just that environment, across the world, when we look at, and again, this is some of the stuff that I study and talking about communication. When we go intercultural communication, we have to be mindful and understanding that across the world, the view of Black Americans is not always portrayed in the most positive
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Indeed.
No, you're right.
And this is a very unfortunate thing because we are here, we are humans, we are Americans, we are trying to be productive as well. We are not all out here. It doesn't even matter what the negative connotation are because everybody of every demographic does those same things. Whether you are, that's more of a classist situation. But anyway, so the point is that we are still behind that ball when it comes to having to push ourselves out and give ourselves that moniker that we are handling our business.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right.
That's what the big thing is. So.
I mean, and the funny thing is because it kind of made me take a step back and think, I couldn't pin it on a race of people, even though everyone there was, pretty much the same, meaning, of age and descent, because there definitely was a, economic difference. So the people that were, come from a lower economic background, they were fine.
More receptive.
Right. They're like, hey, what's going on? Like the chit chatter. Excuse me, that was not part of the conversation. But the ones that were on a higher economic, status, it was like I wasn't there.
No love.
No love
Yeah, it was
whatsoever.
like, where's the white man at?
I mean, that's how
to
it
the
comes
white
out.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
exactly.
listen to the
I'll
white
listen
man.
to him.
Yeah.
Or somebody just like me.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, like I've been waiting to get you back on the show just because I hear this this is talk for when she's on the road first thing in the morning and then in the afternoon and the evening when she's coming home and I'm hearing her frustration and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get you back on the show and tell us all about it because it is crazy. I mean, because I've been in those meetings or in those certain circles where you feel the difference when you walk in. It's like,
Oh yeah.
Palpable.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, okay, all right. Obviously, you don't think I'm supposed to be here.
Or they're shocked that you're there.
Ooh.
That's the other thing. I mean, especially being a woman, a lot of times people are shocked that you even have a seat at the table. They're looking like.
And what I'm fascinated about is about how other women think that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. I'm used to a white male delivering something like this. How'd you get this?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Right, or the connotations that come with that, as they say, where there's already a preconceived notion of you and they have no idea who you are. So then they get you're so-and-so. And you're like, well, what does that mean? I sure hope it's positive. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? What does, you're the one? Like,
You're the one they've been talking about? Interesting.
yeah. And you're like, what does that mean? Is that good? Is that bad? Did they say something horrible about me? All you can do is just say, well, I hope that it was, a positive conversation that you're referring to, because otherwise I can't do this with you at this moment.
Right. I just can't.
And to piggyback on that, before I know Barry looked like you're about to transition to something else, but this is something that I talk about to my students. Obviously, I teach at a historically black college, so predominantly students are going to be predominantly African American. We do have other ethnicities, but my limited. I'm not that old, so my small experience in that element of workplace environment, and I try to get them prepared to understand that even though somebody may have that standoffish attitude towards you, does not dictate how the end of that situation has to end. So when you are, look, I am not the person that's supposed to be the things that I'm supposed to be. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I am a regular dude. But the whole point is that when it comes time, like you asked me, Barry, at the beginning, when it's time to talk about getting into higher positions and things of that nature, look, the research that I've done, the education that I have attained for myself, the knowledge that I have, that cannot be challenged. I mean, you people can ask questions and things about that, but when I start talking about what I understand and what I know about, then it sounds like, you know what, he's coming from a place where I understand how those other people gave him such laud, such praise, you know. So I think that this would be a good talking moment for all the listeners out there and the viewers too. Just be confident in what you know and what you bring to the table.
Absolutely.
You have not been placed in those positions just because. But to understand that you've been placed in the positions because there is something within you or something that you exude to other people that shows that you are supposed to be there. So I would say, make sure that you fill that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
I've heard people say about my wife that she sucks the air out of the room when she walks in. Just because she walks in and understands that I'm supposed to be here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to huddle in the corner
Yeah.
and try to play this small time role here. No, I'm serious. I'm here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend her on her confidence. I commend her on her presence. I commend her on just knowing that, guess what? I'm here to do a job and I'm going to nail this thing and I'm just going to knock it out the park. So I love her for that. And again, she's been amazing. I know I had to push her towards the role some years back, but now she owns the role now. You know what I mean? She owns the
Like
role.
that sometimes. You know?
Hey folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with our topic and we look forward to having you back. And again, if you choose to call in, just let us know. 570-763-9675. We'll talk to you in a second.
I think we lost all our viewers with that last bathroom break.
Why you say that?
No, we're back up to 3.
No, it was more. Well, I had more people on mine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I can.
no,
Oh, what the fuck?
What?
Oh.
Oh, that. Oh, no, I seen something on the news that said